Hi, I'm Patrick Molzon with Madison Area Technical College in Madison, Wisconsin. Today I'm going to show you how to make this 5-piece raised panel door. We'll break each step down so you can understand the coping and sticking process and how to raise the panel, as well as talk about assembly and glue up. Our first step is we're going to put the piece in, tight to the fence, clamp it down. We're going to cope the end. Cope the end. Smooth, continuous feed all the way through. Turn the machine off. There is the coped end. The next step is we're going to rotate the power feed into place. Power feed has already been set up. We're going to be using an outboard fence. So we rotate the power feed in place, making sure that it is slightly angled out to keep the stock pushed towards the outboard fence. The outboard fence slides into the two end channels. And what's very nice with this system is that we have a little aluminum spacer or a wood spacer that is the exact size of the cut we want, in this case 2 inches. We can replace that spacer with any size spacer, so if we want to change to a rail or style that's different width, we can do that. Very simple. At this point we're going to be feeding our stock in to do the sticking. The stock is fed good face down, trailing edge to the back. Before we can cope the remaining edge of our top and bottom rails, we need to cut it to length. Remember, we ran out of one long strip so we could feed well and not have any movement as we went through the power feed. So we're going to cut that rail to length. And while we're here, we'll also cut the stiles to length. Final step in coping and sticking is we're going to rotate the power feed out of the way. We've already cut our rails to length and our stiles. We'll go back to the copavator jig. If we've done it right, we should have a square edge facing our tear out block, our backer block, putting our good face down, clamp it in, and we'll cope our final edge. At this point, I now have 4 pieces. I have my top rail, my bottom rail. Both ends have been coped on these pieces. And I have my vertical stiles cut to length. We can do a test fit. Joints should be nice and tight, should be square. If I like the layout as is, the way the grain's oriented, I can go ahead and mark, using the triangle method, the orientation of these pieces. This is my left side, this is my right side. With those markings now, when I go to reassemble, I'll know if something's upside down. And indeed, that's not in the right place. But I can always put my pieces back together. Also, if I've cut everything to the right length, the overall size of the door should be exactly to dimension. We'll verify that right now, that we are 13 inches long. Indeed we are. The last part to our door is the raised panel. I'll show you that in the next video. We're going to start with a blank that's been cut to size. It's been grain matched, equal pieces of wood laid around. And now we need to shape that edge all the way around so that it fits in the frame. This is our setup for our raised panel cutter. We're using a zero clearance fence. The cutter is guarded with a warning disc. Allows the panel to pass under, and the fence will keep the panel from moving into any opening. As we raise the panel, we're going to be using a little hold down jig. That's going to guide, it's going to shield us from the cutter. It's going to guide the panel through. It has a zero clearance backer to prevent tear out or reduce tear out. Very important that that is set behind the panel because this is our kickback zone. So we need to push the panel through, make sure it does not kick back. We're going to be cutting end grain first. We will get some tear out on the end grain. We will then rotate counterclockwise 4 times to cut the remaining edges. Okay, we're in our assembly room now, and I'm going to show you how we're going to glue and clamp and glue up our raised panel door. Before we start, we've got all of our clamps set up and sized to the panel. When we make a raised panel, it's very popular in the industry to use what are called space balls, or a little bit of rubber spacer that goes between the stiles and the panel. And that spacer will actually cushion the panel and keep it from rattling if it is a little thinner than the groove. So we're going to put 2 space balls on our stiles. And we're going to put 2 space balls on the top rail and the bottom rail. As I said earlier, good idea to do a trial fit. So we'll assemble everything, get all of our clamps adjusted, so we have no surprises when it comes to glue up. We put it in our clamps. And I'm using 4 clamps for this glue up. I like the K-body clamp, parallel jaw clamp. What I'm doing is the clamps, and I'll slowly tighten from each direction, are making sure that our joints flush out top and bottom. So that clamp is centered on the joint, and then we have pressure to draw the joint tight. And then once our panel's glued up, we're going to want to check the diagonals to make sure that that panel is square. If it's out of square, we're going to have problems fitting it with the cabinet. And that is exactly square. So the benefit of 4 clamps, as you look at this assembly, we have a little bit of a loose joint there, and that clamp will tighten up and flush that joint out, and then we'll put side pressure on and clamp that joint nice and tight. Okay, so at this point we're ready to glue our joint together. We're going to put glue on our cope joint. Get in there with a little brush. I always like to start with the cope joints first. Now we'll glue our stiles, and again, we're just going to glue where that joint is. Do not not glue the panel. The panel needs to float in its frame. Then I'll go back, and oftentimes the end grain has soaked up the glue. So I'll hit it one more time. And when that joint pulls together, there should be just a light bead of glue comes out of that joint. Okay, we don't want too much squeeze out. We don't want squeeze out going in and accidentally gluing our panel in, but we do want to make sure we have enough glue in the joint to hold the frame together.